Yo, 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 it's your girl and boy CT. I'm Cindy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we are the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
Sponsored by Journey 333. That is a place of mind, body, spirit that helps you with fitness, coaching, and nutrition to look better, live better, and feel better. We produce these episodes every week for your enjoyment to help people to overcome adversity and live their dreams. Yo, 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 it's your boy TB, and I am joined today by a new co-host, my man, JB. That's right, Jesse Buck is in the house. That's right. And remember, our show, the Overcomers Podcast, is sponsored by Journey 333. We're filming from the Sayre location today. Now, that is a lot of threes, so let me remind you what it's all about. That's fitness, coaching, and nutrition, mind, body, spirit, where we help you to look better, live better, and feel better. Jesse, tell them who we're bringing on the show today.
We are super lucky to have a Mr. John Lee Dumas with us today. He is the host of Entrepreneurs on Fire, where he interviews folks every single day, like Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, many, many more people that you have heard tons about. And he's also the author of The Common Path to Uncommon Success. It's the 17-step roadmap to get to your version of success. And we're so grateful to have him on and can't wait to hear from him.
Well, let's get everybody on the road to success and bring on John Lee Dumas.
One thing I'd like to bring up right away too is your book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. I've been reading that one. There we go. Good visual. I'd love to start off just by asking, somebody who hasn't heard of you necessarily, somebody who hasn't read the book, what are like some of the top things you would get out of reading your book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success?
A lot of people want you to believe that it's a complicated road to success, that it's a hidden road, a secret path, but it's not. I've interviewed over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs in every industry you can imagine. And every single one of them took essentially the exact same incredibly common path to get to their version of uncommon success. And when I realized that, I said, hey, I got to write a book about this because I've learned so much from these 3,000 plus interviews of the world's most successful entrepreneurs. Why not create a step-by-step roadmap that's going to take people to the promised land? Now, everybody's promised land is different. Everybody has a different definition of financial freedom. Everybody has a different definition of fulfillment, and that's fantastic. So what this book promises to do for you is take you step-by-step on the 17-step roadmap to your version of financial freedom and fulfillment. And that's the key. That's the promise.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect.
And there are like 17 steps in the book. Am I right? 17 steps to the roadmap to success.
17, as they would say in Puerto Rico, 17.
All right.
I think that translates very well to our industry too. When we talk about fitness, I like to say the same type of thing to people is it's very simple to get where you want to go, but it is hard. Like it's very convoluted. And
like every single person who's ever had massive success getting incredibly fit. And again, you can jump in here because you have more experience here than I do, but essentially they eat right, whatever that is for them. And they put in the work every single day. They're in the gym. They're lifting weights. They're doing the right amount of cardio. They're doing the right amount of non-aerobic exercises. And then guess what? 12, 16, 24 months go by. They look in the mirror one day. They're like, whoa, I'm incredibly fit.
Right.
It was an unbelievably common path that millions of people have gone down before to get incredibly fit. But guess what? Just because it's common doesn't mean it's easy. It's hard flipping work.
Right.
But guess what? This is one thing I love to say about my book too. This is for business and entrepreneurship. It's what made me a multimillionaire, is saying, hey, it is hard work to run a successful business. And let's lump in your industry. It is hard work to create optimal fitness. It is hard work. But you know what else is hard? Looking every day in the mirror and being fat, being out of shape, looking terrible, feeling terrible. You know what else is hard on the business side of things? Looking in the mirror and not being able to pay the bills. Knowing the person looking back at you is broke, knowing that you're not living up to your expectations of yourself. Both of those paths, there's only two paths: incredibly successful, incredibly fit, unfit and unhealthy and not successful in business. Both of those paths are really hard because it's hard being broke. It's hard being fat. It is. It's hard.
Exactly.
So I tell you, choose your hard. Both paths are hard. Which one are you going to choose? It's not like one's easy, one's hard. Like people be like, wait a second. It's really easy to sit on the couch and to eat Ben and Jerry's and to watch TV and to get fat and fat.
Yep.
Is it easy when everybody looks down at you because you are fat, when they judge you, when you've got to buy 2 plane tickets for your one fat ass? Like, no.
Right.
That's not easy.
No, that's really good. Choose your hard. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard.
You brought up a commonality between what you put out there and what we try to put out there every day in fitness, which is for people to succeed, at least there is a common thread that they need to move more and eat better, right? And so you have a 17-step roadmap, and I'm sure that our listeners are salivating over it right now. Like, well, I want the roadmap to success.
Yeah, but you know what that roadmap says basically?
Yeah, talk to me. Yeah.
Basically, it says move more, eat better.
Right.
That's exactly what it says in the business, in the business sense for health.
Mm-hmm.
That's really like a big point that you stress. And I think something we're heading right into is one of the hardest parts is just getting started and taking action. A lot of people want to look for all the little secrets and they're like, oh, well, I want to learn a little bit about this first or a little bit about that first before I get going. And I'm not quite ready to get going because I don't have in the podcasting world, I don't have all the best equipment. I don't have this or I don't have that. What have you noticed are a lot of people's biggest barriers to just taking action and getting started, do you think?
There's only one barrier. The person looking at you in the mirror. That's the only barrier you have. Equipment, that's not a barrier. That's you putting an excuse, a little whiny little, we won't swear on this show, I guess, but female dog being like, hey, I don't have the right equipment. I can't get fit. Are you kidding me? You guys ever seen what Herschel Walker looked like only doing push-ups?
Right.
Think about it. There's no excuse, period.
I hear you talk about it in your book a little bit, delaying getting a bunch of content out. Can't remember the name. I believe it was of the woman who had kind of taken you on a little bit. And she wanted you to start posting your content. And you said, well, we'll wait and do some reviewing. And it started.
It was this. It was me trying to be perfect. It was me waiting for the perfect moment. Just like I'll start lifting as soon as all my equipment comes in, or as soon as I can afford good equipment, or as soon as I can afford a gym membership, I'll get into good shape. It's like waiting. And it was me in the same exact way about my podcast. Like I'll wait till my website's perfect. My social media is perfect until this is perfect, until I never say or ah in an entire podcast episode. I'll wait till I'm perfect. The word perfect. And whenever you hear that word, whenever you are willing, let me back up. There's not willing. Whenever you call yourself a perfectionist, you need to replace that word with something I'm about to share. Because a perfectionist is like, oh, well, I'm a perfectionist. It's kind of like patting yourself on the back. Like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. That's why I can't start right now because I'm not fully ready. Because I don't want, my voice, my message, my mission to get out into the world until it's perfect. Because I'm a perfectionist. No, replace the word perfectionist with coward. You're not a perfectionist. You're a coward. You are a coward. You are hiding behind a word called perfectionism / being perfect, which, by the way, you're talking to an Army combat veteran who spent 13 months in Iraq. And I'm holding my hand up right now. I was a coward. I was an absolute coward launching a podcast after getting shot at for a year. You think that I wouldn't be scared about launching a podcast? I was terrified. I was cowardly. I kept delaying, saying I was a perfectionist. No, I was a coward. Call it like it is. I was an absolute coward. And everybody that uses the word perfect or perfectionism, you're a coward too.
Wow, that's strong and convicting, And I like that, to realize that your greatest obstacle is you, right? So get out of your own way, right? And how do you get out of your own way? Well, you stop being afraid. You go after what you want. Really, really good. In your book, you talk about niching down, not being all things to all people. Can you talk about maybe that piece of advice or another piece of advice that you think very important for our audience to hear today?
The theme that I want to get across around that topic is if you can become the number one best solution to a real problem in this world, you will win. I mean, look at the health industry, just to kind of keep it coming back to your core listeners. It's like everybody who's had massive success over the years, it hasn't been like, hey, just like join me and I'm going to like tell you how to do everything in health and wellness. Like, no, it's people that have been like, I'm going to show you how to do one thing better than anybody else. I could go on a bunch of random examples, but like, I think back to my earlier days, and I'm not even saying this necessarily worked incredibly well. I'm just saying this company was incredibly successful because they said, I'm going to get you amazing abs in 8 minutes. And before that, nobody had really done it to that level. They just focused on one part of the body, a very set time frame. And when I was 16, 17 years old, I would do that every single morning before school. And for better or for worse, whatever, I didn't know any better. I was just doing it. Right. And I paid for the cassette tape. I did it every single day, blah, blah, blah. They were at that time in my mind, the best solution to a real problem I had. I wanted better abs. Right. If you can do that to whatever it is, health, business, fill in the blank, you will win, because people will beat a path to the doorstep of the number one solution to a real problem that they have. And they will ignore the second best solution on infinity. Like I love how in the movie, I think it was Dumb and Dumber. No, I think there's something about Mary. They said, I'm going to come up with 7-minute abs. And like, it's like, no, that's not going to be the number one solution to a real problem. That's already been solved. You need to find something else that's going to win. And that was me with the podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire. The day that I launched this podcast, it was the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. It was the worst daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the only daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. Therefore, I won. How can you be the only? And that's where, to your core question of niching, you've got to niche your flipping face off until it hurts, until you're down at a place where either your competition sucks or there's no competition. So you can either dominate the competition day one, or there is no competition. So you're de facto the winner. That's how you win.
Right. Wow. Yeah. You talk about, on the same topic, I know you talk a lot about in the book, a lot of people trying to make a product or a service that's good for everyone. And that's the specific reason.
When you try to resonate with everybody, you will resonate with nobody, because you're not creating the best solution to a specific real problem. You're creating a marginal solution to a million problems, and nobody wants the marginal. People don't even want the second best solution, let alone the 700th best solution. Yeah, and that's what you're doing
that way. Here's your second best solution. To, you know, this
and by the way, that did work with the one company that I will bring up. It's interesting. Avis Car Rental. Okay. And their whole theme was, we're number 2, therefore we try harder. And so their whole angle
therefore
because we're number 2, our service is going to be better. So what do people always complain about with car services? The service sucks. You get to an airport, you know, you go to pick up your car, and like there's a million people in line. There's one person behind the counter. It's like, do you want that, or do you want the best support? Because we have to try hard because we are number 2. So even within that, they found a niche that people really wanted a solution to, and they won.
Very good. Well, we want to be respectful of your time, and something that I would love for you to do is, one, of course, make sure that everybody knows how they can get more of you, because this is really great information. And if you could, you know, give our audience a challenge, a success challenge. You've written the roadmap to success. You've shared some really good knowledge bombs with us today, but you know, bring it home for us if you would, you know.
So I want to leave you with a quote by Albert Einstein. Try not to become a person of success, but rather a person of value. Become a person of value and find how you can become the number one most valuable solution to a real, specific, unique niche problem in this world, and you will win. My challenge to you is to visit uncommonsuccessbook.com. uncommonsuccessbook.com. Buy the physical copy, or if you like audio better, get the Audible version and listen to the flipping book and take action on it. And by the way, 99.7% of you hearing my voice will not do that. And that's okay, because most people in this world are never going to succeed at the level that they're capable of doing. But to those 0.3% of people who actually take me up on this challenge, sky's the limit. I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show today. We really appreciate you and your time. Thank you.
Adios, boys. Thanks.
All right, we'll see you.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that. So you had a chance to look over the book,
Yeah.
and of course, you were doing a little studying on him for the show. What are some of the things that we didn't get a chance to talk with him about? I know we only had him for a brief minute popping on the show, but I think it was valuable time for our listeners. So, like, what do you think was? What did you get out of it?
I got a lot out of it here. Out of the book, he expands on a lot of the ideas we brought up. I'm really happy about how he wrapped it up. That was my first point, is that exact quote that he gave, because I think it's such a powerful point.
Mm-hmm.
And that quote again by Albert Einstein is, try to be a person of value instead of a person of success.
Yeah.
Getting started is a huge thing. When we were talking about niching down, he uses a really cool kind of idea of creating an avatar of your perfect customer.
Mm-hmm.
So for us at Journey Fitness, we create somebody. He says he even named his person. I can't remember the name he gave him, but let's say we've got John.
Mm-hmm.
And John over here, we need to come up with a person who is our perfect customer. So
like this your avatar, right?
Person who's out of shape, who wants accountability, who wants group training sessions, this and that. You got to figure it out. And that answers like your niche questions, basically, because you're trying to figure out, how do I niche down to that minute level that he was talking about? It's like, you got to create your own avatar. And then when you have marketing questions, you bounce it off him. You're like, well, should we do this or should we do that? Well, what would John, our avatar, want?
Right. No, that's really good. I like how he was saying, don't try to be all things to all people, or you're really nothing. You got to be, you can't, well, how's that go? You can't, if you try to be, everything to everybody.
If you're trying to appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to nobody.
Yeah, that was really good. Really good. Success does leave clues, and I think that, I think he shared some really good information with us today. And, what a wealth of knowledge he must be after interviewing thousands of people.
Absolutely.
How about you, Jesse? I think that you're a pretty impressive guy. What's interesting about you, by the way, we're in the Stair location today. I got my co-host, Jesse Buck, and Jesse Buck is a soon-to-be franchisee with our company. He's also a real estate agent. When he's not doing real estate, he's helping his family renovate properties. So they're investors in properties around town. And when he's not doing that, of course, he's wrestling. He's a wrestling coach. He maintains an extraordinary level of fitness as well. So, Jesse, what's your secret to success that John Lee, that you don't feel that he shared? Like, what's a mantra that you live by?
I would say it goes along with when he was saying take action, but it's also take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way.
Mm-hmm.
I always, and you can find that, maybe you can stretch yourself too thin, this or that, but how many times do you let opportunities pass by and you look back and you're like, well, I wonder where that would have taken me. I never want to have an opportunity like that pass by. So when I met you at the SBA and you said, hey, think we'd be an awesome team. And I'm sitting here thinking, I love fitness.
Right.
Met you guys were awesome. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's getting started. So yeah, you can be apprehensive. You can be scared about what it holds, but you're never going to know unless you get started. And you figure it out along the way. The only way to get good at something is to do it just to jump in and start doing it. So
really
you
good.
learn from your mistakes. So taking advantage of every opportunity.
I think it was Ben Franklin that said opportunity is missed by most because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. Right. So like, don't be afraid of the work. Don't be afraid of the opportunities that come your way. Say yes and figure it out later. I think that's kind of like a Richard Branson thing. If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, say yes and then figure out how to do it later. For me, it's also, I think that we probably have some listeners on here and are saying, well, okay, I'm getting some of these tips on success, but what's right for me, right? Jesse said that he was into fitness, so he said yes to it. Do that thing that inspires you, right? Just the word inspired, right, is to be in spirit, right? To live according to what you were created to do, your highest self, right? and you're like, where do I find that? So things that you get inspired about, it's things you get excited about, things you can feel enthusiastic about. If you can feel excited about them, that's a good secret too,
Absolutely.
do that. And many people say you're not working a day in your life because you are doing things that you enjoy, and you're able to build a profession out of it. So that's really good. Really good. My secret to success is never, never give up. That's a Winston Churchill quote, and we have it on our walls at Journey. And so when you step out there and you start trying to follow the roadmap, if you are part of that 0.3% that does it, the only other thing that'll stop you is if you give up along the way. Don't give up. It's those that keep on persevering and persisting that are going to find that success on the other side. So really good. Anything else to add?
With that, failure is going to happen, and I'd welcome it because it's just an opportunity to get better. So
that
goes along with your never give up.
Yeah,
Don't
no
be afraid to
losses,
fail.
just lessons, right? So good. So good. Well, thank you for being my co-host today.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, this was awesome. So good. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you on our next Overcomers podcast episode. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Overcomers podcast sponsored by Journey 333. When I am not hosting the Overcomers podcast, I am working at one of our fitness franchises so that I can continue to help people overcome adversity on a daily basis. That's right. People come to the Journey 333 fitness franchises because they want a coach in their life. They want somebody to help them overcome the adversities of life, motivate them to higher levels of greatness, bring out their potential, help them lose weight, get off medications, fight depression, fight anxiety. That's what we do on a regular basis. If you feel like you want your life to be about helping more people to overcome their adversities, if you feel like you're an overcomer and you want to create more overcomers, then maybe owning a Journey 333 franchise would be for you. To find out more, go to www.journeyfitness333.com.